My 10-year-old son said he didn't want a birthday party this year. When I asked why, he said, because she already threw me one. I thought he meant a classmate's mom. Then I saw photos on Facebook, my son. Cake. Balloons. Inside my neighbor's living room. I confronted her. She said, he told me you didn't have time for him. But the banner in the photo read, Happy Adoption Day. We never told anyone he was adopted. And what we found hidden in her attic were the original court documents, with our signatures crossed out. I'm a single dad in Lafayette, Indiana. I adopted my son, Ben, when he was 4. My wife, Kara, and I had waited for years before we got that call. When we brought him home, he felt like ours from the very beginning. We never told anyone he was adopted, just close family, and the lawyer who handled it. That was it. Kara passed away in a car accident 2 years ago. Since then, it's just been me and Ben. He's 10 now, a sweet, quiet kid. Still gets shy around new people, still sleeps with the stuffed turtle Kara gave him when we signed the papers. So when I asked him about his birthday plans this year, I was caught off guard. He didn't want a party. I said, What do you mean? You always get excited about your birthday. He shrugged and said, Because she already threw me one. I asked, Who? He said, She did. I figured maybe he meant a classmate's mom did something small at school, like cupcakes or something. I didn't push. Just let it go. But that night, I was scrolling through Facebook, and I saw something that stopped my heart cold. Photos of Ben. Wearing a birthday crown, holding a chocolate cake. Smiling inside someone else's living room. My neighbor's living room. Valerie Anderson. Lives right next door. A quiet woman in her 50s. Works nights as a nurse at the hospital. I clicked through the pictures. In every single one, Ben looked happy. There were balloons. Presents. A banner that said, Happy Adoption Day. My stomach dropped. I never told Valerie Ben was adopted. No one in the neighborhood knew. Not because we were ashamed, we just wanted to wait until Ben was older to understand it. I was shaking when I clicked on her profile. She had shared the post with the caption, He finally knows the truth. Welcome home, Ben. Welcome home? I went to her house the next morning and knocked hard. She opened the door, still in scrubs, tired eyes but smiling like nothing was wrong. I said, What the hell was that party? She blinked. He said you were always too busy. He was sad. I just wanted to make him feel special. I said, You put up a banner that said Adoption Day. Where the hell did you get that information? She crossed her arms. He asked me why he didn't look like you. I told him the truth. I froze. That wasn't your truth to tell. She looked me straight in the eye and said, He needs someone who actually listens to him. I walked away before I did something stupid. That night I tried talking to Ben. He seemed confused, sad, but also defensive. She said you only adopted me because you couldn't have a real kid. That cut deep. I sat him down and told him how much we wanted him. How we waited for him. How Kara cried when we first held him. He listened, but I could tell Valerie's poison had already worked its way in. Then things got worse. He came home from school with a new backpack. Brand new. Not from me. He had a bracelet on. A silver one, with a little V charm on it. I asked him where it came from. Valerie gave it to me, he said, like it was normal. The next morning, I watched her leave for work, waited 15 minutes, then went to her house. I broke in. I know how that sounds. But I had to know what she was doing. What she was planning. Her house was full of photos of Ben. Him smiling. Him holding her hand. Even one of him asleep on a couch. None of me. None of Kara. It was like she was erasing us. In the attic, I found a box labeled Ben. Inside were toys, photos, a scrapbook. She'd been documenting him. Without me knowing. Then I found the folder. A manila folder with legal documents. Real adoption papers. But our names, mine and Kara's, were crossed out with red pen. Next to them was her name, Valerie Anderson. My blood ran cold. These were the real papers from the courthouse. The ones we were told would be sealed and only accessible with a court order. I took the folder home. Called the police. They said nothing could be done unless a crime had been committed. I called our old adoption lawyer. He checked the file. One of the sealed copies was missing. She had it. Somehow, she had taken a copy from either his office or our home. And rewritten the story in her head. That night, I installed cameras. Changed every lock. Kept Ben home from school. He cried again. She said you were going to send me back someday. I told him the truth. That we chose him. That no one could ever take him away. He looked unsure. Hurt. Torn. The next day, I saw Valerie's garage open. She was at work. I looked inside. Boxes. Stacked and labeled. Ben's room, clothes, Ben's toys, school files, and a booster seat installed in the back of her SUV. She was planning something. She thought he was hers. And she was going to take him. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the living room with the lights off, watching the driveway. Watching the hallway to Ben's room. Listening to every creak in the house like it might be her footsteps. I called CPS the next morning. Told them everything. They took the report, but it was clear from their tone they didn't see it as urgent. "We'll assign someone," they said. Too slow. So I went back to her house. This time during the day, when she was home. I didn't knock. I just stood on her porch until she opened the door. She said, "You're trespassing." I said, "I know what you're doing. I saw the boxes. The car seat." She smiled. Not friendly. Cold. "I was just being prepared," she said. "For when he chooses." I laughed bitterly. "He's 10. He's a child." She tilted her head. "But the court might see otherwise. If I show them the things he said to me." I said nothing. Just stared at her. Then she leaned in close and whispered, "You don't even know what he tells me at night." I backed up fast. Heart pounding. She was trying to push me. To scare me. But it worked. I got a lawyer the next day. Filed a restraining order. Filed a motion with family court for emergency review. But it would take time. Meanwhile, Ben kept drifting. He barely talked to me. He ate less. Looked at me like I was a stranger. I checked his school iPad. He'd been messaging Valerie through a fake email. She'd sent him links to custody resources, to support groups for adopted kids. She was poisoning him from inside his own mind. So I did something I didn't want to do. I went to her job. Franciscan Health Hospital. Waited outside during her shift change. I walked up to her in the parking lot. "You come near him again, I go public. Everything you did. Everything you planned." She didn't even blink. "Go ahead," she said. "Do it. But the second you do, I release the videos." I froze. "What videos?" She smiled. "The ones where he cries. Where he says he wants to live with me. Where he says you yell at him and ignore him. Those videos." I knew she was lying. She had to be. But I wasn't sure. I left, heart racing. I got home and tore the house apart. Every room, every outlet. And I found one. A small black camera. Hidden in Ben's bookshelf, facing his bed. Another in the hallway vent. She'd been watching us. Recording us. God knows how long. I called the cops again. This time, I had proof. But she was ready. By the time they came to question her, she had a lawyer. Said I was the one who planted the cameras to frame her. Said I was deteriorating emotionally, since my wife died and had a history of paranoia. She'd done her homework. The case stalled. No charges filed yet. But something changed. Ben started sneaking out at night. First time, he was gone 10 minutes. I found him in the backyard. Second time, he was halfway down the block, walking toward her house in his pajamas. I started locking his window. But that third time, I woke up and he was gone. No note. No message. Just his stuffed turtle on his pillow. I called the cops. Called every neighbor. Nothing. Then my phone buzzed. It was a message. No number. Just a photo. Ben. Sleeping on a couch. A different couch. And behind him, that same damn banner. Happy Adoption Day. I knew where he was. But I also knew if I went over there, she'd be ready. And I'd need to be smarter than her this time. I drove past her house that night. Lights off. Curtains drawn. Her car wasn't in the driveway, but I knew she was inside. She never parked in the same place twice anymore. Sometimes down the block. Sometimes behind the grocery store nearby. She was being careful. I called the police again. Reported him missing. They said they'd follow up. They knocked on her door. She answered calm, fake tears ready. "I haven't seen him. Maybe he ran away." They couldn't search without a warrant. Meanwhile, I was dying inside. I didn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I was just staring at that photo of my son on her couch, trying to find a clue. A reflection. A piece of mail. Something. Then I noticed something small in the corner of the picture. A teddy bear. Not Ben's. But I remembered it. It had been at her house before. In a different room. She wasn't keeping him in the main part of the house. She was hiding him. I went back to my lawyer. He was worried about escalation, but I didn't care. I needed custody protection. We filed for an emergency child recovery order through the court. But that would take at least 48 hours. So I took matters into my own hands. I bought a burner phone. Created a fake Facebook profile of someone from a local adoption agency. I sent her a message. "We saw your beautiful post about Ben. Would love to talk about your journey." She responded. Thought she was being praised. Over a few messages, I played the part. Complimented her, made her feel smart. She bragged about how she rescued Ben. About how he finally felt wanted. About how she was correcting a mistake the system made. She said, "He tells me every night he wishes he'd been mine from the beginning." I kept the messages. Saved them all. Then she said something that made my blood freeze. "I've started the process. A friend of mine in Illinois has connections. Ben won't be here much longer." She was planning to move him out of state. Fast. That night, I called her from a payphone outside a gas station. I disguised my voice the best I could. "I know what you're doing. I know where he is. If you don't bring him home in 24 hours, everyone will know. The hospital. The court. Your church. Your neighbors." She paused for a long time. Then said, "You don't deserve him. You never did." And hung up. I went home and found a small note taped to my front door. No envelope. Just a piece of lined paper. "I gave him what you couldn't." It was written in Ben's handwriting. I sat on the porch with it in my hand, staring at nothing. Then my neighbor from 2 doors down, Jerry, came over. Said he saw a kid being led into Valerie's garage the night before, around 11 p.m. Said the kid looked scared. That was it. That was the last straw. I called in a favor. My cousin Nate lives in Indy. Ex-cop. Got booted years ago for aggressive behavior. But he still knows people. He came up that night. We set up across the street in an empty rental. Watched the house for hours. Nothing. Then, just after midnight, we saw movement in the back. A small figure. Sneaking out the back door. Ben. But he wasn't alone. Valerie was behind him. And she was holding a duffel bag. She was going to run. We followed. Not too close. She got in her car and took off down 38 toward the highway. Nate stayed back a bit. Called in a friend from State Patrol. Told him everything. Gave him the plate. Told him it was urgent. They pulled her over 15 miles out, near Delphi. Found Ben in the back. Half asleep. The officer told me later Valerie tried to pass him off as her nephew. Ben didn't speak. Just stared ahead. They brought him home that night. But the damage was done. And I knew, even with her arrested, this wasn't over. She had documents. She had videos. She had convinced my son, somewhere deep down, that she was the one who cared more. And I had to find a way to fix it. Or lose him forever. After they brought Ben home, he didn't speak for 2 days. Just sat on the couch, holding that stuffed turtle, staring at the TV even when it was off. I tried everything. Pizza. Movies. Jokes we used to laugh at. He just stared. I'd lost him. Even though he was sitting right there in front of me. I read every file she had left behind. Printed every message she sent from that burner Facebook account. I showed the cops, showed the judge, showed CPS. Finally, they started taking it seriously. Valerie was charged with custodial interference and unlawful surveillance. But she made bail. Got a damn lawyer who said she was mentally unwell and only acted out of love. They were trying to spin it like she had some kind of breakdown. But I knew better. She didn't break down. She planned this. For months. Maybe years. Then something happened I didn't expect. Ben asked to go to court. He said, "I want to tell the judge the truth." My gut twisted. I didn't know what truth meant anymore. We stood in that cold courtroom 2 weeks later. Valerie was there, wearing a gray suit, hair pulled back, acting like a schoolteacher instead of a criminal. Ben was called to the front. Judge asked if he wanted to speak. He looked at me. Then looked at her. And he said, "She told me my mom gave me up. She said my dad only took me because he felt bad. That I wasn't really wanted." My heart dropped. He paused. She lied. A lot. She said my room was hers. That my turtle was hers. That my birthday was hers to give. Then he said, "But my mom was real. My mom was nice. She used to sing to me at night. And my dad, he stayed. Even when she died. He never gave me away. Not once. Valerie stood up. Started to yell. Something about brainwashing. About how Ben didn't know what was best for him. The judge banged the gavel and ordered her removed from the room. She screamed all the way out. He's not yours. He never was. I'll never forget Ben's face when she said that. Tears, but not scared anymore. Just done. They locked Valerie up after that. Her bail was revoked. The court placed a permanent restraining order. She'll be facing felony charges, maybe even time in a state hospital if they keep pushing the mental illness defense. But that wasn't the end for me. See, here's where I made my mistake. I let Ben go too long without hearing the truth from me. I let someone else fill in the silence. For months after court, he still had nightmares. Still asked if I was going to send him back when he made a mistake. The damage didn't go away with a verdict. It sat in our home like a ghost. So I told him everything. How we waited for years. How we picked him. How his mom used to sit on the floor and build block towers with him for hours. How he was never a backup plan. He was always the plan. And then I did something else. Something I'd been scared to do for a long time. I showed him the adoption video. Kara holding him. Crying. Me smiling like an idiot. The judge saying, "Congratulations, Mr. and Mrs. Harland. He's yours now." Ben watched the whole thing. Then he asked, "Can we watch it again?" So we did. Twice. Valerie lost everything. Her job. Her license. Her reputation. She'll never be near another child again. And maybe that's the justice part. But the revenge? The revenge is this. Every year, on Ben's birthday, we hang up a banner. Just one word. Loved. And every year, we send a photo of it. To the courthouse. To her lawyer. And straight to the P.O. box we know she uses from prison. Because she needs to see it. Needs to see what she never had. A real family. Not stolen. Not faked. Not forced. Just real. And hers only in her dreams.